Hey there, folks. It's been kind of an intense 24 hours here in the US. There have been two mass shootings. And while the corporate media hasn't confirmed that the second one was racially motivated and a white supremacist, if the larger trend continues, then it's relatively likely that that's the case. I wanted to mention this and bring it up because here in Oregon, we have a white nationalist problem. They're killing people in the streets of Portland. And, they target minorities. They target people who are marginalized. And they do it with, complicity by law enforcement. So the fact that the commander in Cheeto has mentioned before that certain people hate whites and cops, there's a reason for that. The reason is that law enforcement, by and large, enforces policies of white supremacy. That's what their job is. If you look at, for instance, the prison population in the United States, it is predominantly black. It's not because there are more black criminals, it's because law enforcement targets people of color for prosecution. And believe me when I tell you that prosecutors and judges work hand in glove with police to do this. So, I feel like it's really important for us to start talking about this as a white nationalist terror problem. Because in 2 weeks, there's going to be a white nationalist gathering here in Portland. They are sending their most violent, worst criminals to Portland to try and fight people. They're coming here to fight people. That's why they're coming here. And the guy in the White House, he's using his bully pulpit to amplify messages of hatred and violence. He has fully endorsed violence by saying there's good people on both sides. But I just wanted to put this in context for you guys because to me it seems glaringly obvious that we have a white nationalist problem in the United States. We have a problem in the United States that is rooted in white pride. And it's rooted in the misbelief that this is a white country. This is a Native American country. This is a country of indigenous people who have treaties that are supposed to be abided by. And the fact that law enforcement and politicians allow for mass discrimination really makes it evident that we live inside of a white supremacist nation. And the sooner we address that as a nation and say this is a white supremacist nation, these are policies of white supremacy, then we can actually start to address the disparity in law, the disparity in enforcement, and the disparity in quality of life. So, it just, to me, it's as clear as the nose on my face that the problem in the United States is to do with white supremacists and hatred. And as long as white supremacists have the color of law behind them, then they'll be able to murder with impunity. And the corporate media, they legitimize this type of conversation that says that, whatever, the black person is a criminal or the brown person is a criminal or, watch out for the Native American, he's a criminal. It takes a huge effort on behalf of corporate media and on behalf of our politicians to turn a blind eye to white supremacy. And I was listening to NPR earlier this morning, and they said things like, we believe that it was a racially motivated shooting, or there are some who think that this shooting might have been racially motivated. They basically ignore the fact that this kid put out a manifesto declaring himself as a white nationalist, declaring his hatred for minorities, and the media ignores it. They marginalize that information and pretend like it's not the key, most important information, which I believe it is. I believe the fact that these people are declaring themselves as white nationalists and hate mongers needs to be forefront, and anybody who colludes with them, who associates with them, who actively plans mass shootings inside of 4chan, inside of Twitter, or whichever type of social media, that they are hanging out inside of chat rooms, talking with each other on Discord and all these other networks about killing people. That's what the white nationalists are doing. You can take the time and join a couple of the groups. You can find it out. It's not hidden information. And to me, it's apparent that law enforcement doesn't want to take an active role in preventing this type of ethnic cleansing that is happening in the United States, because they turn a blind eye to it. So, I don't have any solutions. All I can do is try and use my voice and put out the information I believe is important. And encourage you guys, do the research. Find out about these hate groups, because they are in your city. Where you live right now, there are hate groups organizing. This, in my opinion, is a civil war. They are in the streets killing people who they believe are the enemy of their white nationalist agenda. And I don't know about you, but I don't want to be killed for not being white enough. I don't want any of my family members to be killed because some radicalized, hate-filled white supremacist goes on a shooting rampage where my family just happens to be. And, that, as much as I rather think that couldn't be a reality, that's a real possibility. It's a real possibility that some whack job with a gun is going to go into a place where my family works, or my family lives, or eats, or plays, and shoots the place up. And if we don't start addressing white nationalist terrorism as a crime that is being perpetrated in concert with each other, they're coordinating and organizing these crimes. If we don't start addressing it as a impending and ongoing civil war where white nationalists are launching attacks on people of color, if we don't start looking at it like this, they're going to be able to keep killing people, and the corporate media will spin this story as if it's just some lone gunman with a mental disorder. No, these people sit in hate-filled chat rooms and talk about killing people of color. Customs and Border Patrol does it. People inside of our government organize hate crimes on Facebook. And we need to start acknowledging that these are being organized. They're being organized and carried out by a group with a specific agenda that's to do with murdering non-Anglo people. And, the corporate media is not going to tell it like that. They will never tell it like that. Your politicians, I don't think they're going to tell it like that. To me, it's pretty darn obvious, and it's pretty easy. If you want to take the time, join 4chan, join Discord, try and find yourself in some of these white nationalist groups, and you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. They're drilling, they have boot camps, they have gun trainings, they have, solidarity networks where they're creating violent mentalities, violent agendas, and they're actually going out and massacring people. And you probably see these people every day. You probably walk past them, whether it's in the park or on the playground, or maybe you maybe they're your cashier, or maybe they're your barista, and they're actually a hate-filled white nationalist. Because they don't put forth white nationalist murdering ideals while they're on the job site. They save that stuff for inside of private chat rooms. But that's the truth of the matter. There's about 46% of this country that openly supports Trump and his white nationalist agenda, and they're willing to kill people for it. They're willing to murder people to support their white nationalist ideals. The Dalai Lama said, if you have a gun and someone is trying to kill you with a gun, it would be sensible to use your gun to protect your life. If people are trying to murder you, it makes sense to act in self-defense. So, with all that said, I'm going to let you guys go. I do appreciate you taking the time to tune in. I hope you have a great rest of your day out there, and I'll talk with you again very soon.